Well, take out the first half of the Ellen Road final last year, and Great Britain really have closed the gap on these Australians over the past 3 years. In the 2003 Ashes series, it was 18-22 to Australia here. 20-23 Great Britain lost at Hull, and 12-18 at Huddersfield. Really, the Australians could not believe their luck that they went home winning the series 3-0. And last year, Great Britain won here 24 points to 12, and it was only 8-12 to the Australians in Manchester. So take out the 40 minutes against Australia in the Tri-Nations final, and the gap really has closed for Great Britain. And these British players know that Wigan has become a popular venue with the team over the last 4 years. Great atmosphere, though not always successful. They lost here to Australia in 2001 and 2003 in the Ashes series. They beat New Zealand here in 2002. They beat the Aussies here 12 months ago, and 24-12 was their highest ever score against the green and golds. Well, there's a lot of hope on the terraces here, and it's a full house. The tickets were sold earlier this week, and not one to be had, and plenty of Australians in the crowd as well. They hope that their fanaticism will see the green and golds home. Now, remember, last year in the final they scored 6 tries in that first half of last year's Tri-Nations final, led 38-0 at half-time. It was all over, really. They won 44-4 in the end. They have had home and away meetings with New Zealand behind them, beaten in Sydney for the first time in 46 years. They lost 28-38. They won 28-26 in Auckland 2 weeks ago. 12 NRL clubs provide the 23-man squad here. Only Canberra, Cronulla and Souths failed to provide a representative. And as we await the arrival of the two teams, out they come. Brian Noble on the left and the Australians on the right, the two coaches. It's worth saying that Wayne Bennett has won 5 NRL Grand Finals, 1992, 1993, 97, 98 and the year 2000. And Brian Noble, of course, 5 successive Super League Grand Finals behind him and 3 victories. And the last time that Brian Noble tasted defeat prior to last weekend was the 10th of July at Wakefield. But what a night for number 16 there, Jamie Thackeray, making his international debut in a Great Britain jersey and up against the mighty Kangaroos. Steve-O, this is certainly no night for faint hearts.
You're right there, Eddie, and we really have, as I said in the studio, to get right underneath the skins of this Australian outfit. They're fully aware that they can do it. They beat them here last year, remember, so that is a bonus. And there's the vice-captain, Brian Carney, who had a nightmare last week. Let's hope that he can get back to top form. He was one of the best players in last season's Tri-Nations. And there is the main man. Let's hope that they all 17 will be main men tonight.
Well, as the presentation party makes its way down, the Australian players, let us check the way these two sides line up. And it's Great Britain first. They've got Paul Wellens at fullback. Then it's Brian Carney, Martin Gleeson, Keith Senior and Leon Price, with Yeston Harris coming into the side at standoff and Paul Deacon getting the nod to continue alongside him. The Bradford Bulls combination at 6 and 7. Then the forwards, Stuart Fielden, Kieran Cunningham and Adrian Morley gets a start in the front row. Jamie Peacock therefore moves back into the second row to captain the side, alongside last week's hat-trick hero Paul Johnson. And Kevin Sinfield moves from standoff to his more accustomed loose forward role, and that's the starting 13. On the bench, it's Lee Gilmore, Chev Walker, Jamie Thackeray on his debut, and Mickey Hyam, and the coach is Brian Noble. Let's take a look at the world champions now from Australia. Anthony Minicello at fullback. What about this for a three-quarter line? Matt King, Mark Gasnier, Matt Cooper and Brent Tate. Darren Lockyer, the destroyer of Great Britain in this competition last year, a captain, and Scott Prince is the scrum half. Up front, Petro Sivanasiva, Danny Badira, Stephen Price, Luke O'Donnell, Craig Fitzgibbon and Ben Kennedy. And the bench is occupied by Trent Barrett. Wouldn't we love to have a Trent Barrett on the bench? Jason Riles, Mark O'Mealy and Willie Mason. And the coach is the one and only Wayne Bennett. Well, it might look a little bit misty on your screens, but that is a legacy really of the mini firework display we've just had here at the JJB Stadium. And right now we're going to have the national anthems. Paul O'Neill from Perth will be singing the Australian national anthem, studying with the National Opera Studio. Australian national anthem. Now David Stevenson from the English National Opera. So there we are, national anthem sung, presentation party exits stage left. It's now down to the 13 players of the two nations. Can Great Britain bounce back from that disappointment last week?
Of course they can, Eddie, and it's all about composure tonight. The mere fact that they did slide over for 4 tries will be in their advantage. I'm sure that Brian Noble has been talking all the positives about what came out of last week's game. We knew they were going to be rusty. It was against a side that perhaps was suffering a little bit from jet lag. Take nothing away from the Kiwis. They fully deserved it. But we have the players out there. But we must get off to a flying start. We always say we cannot allow these Australians any opportunity to score early in the game.
Big night for Kieran Cunningham and company as Paul Deacon prepares to get this game underway. Australian referee Tim Mander blows the whistle. Here we go. A vital 80 minutes. Lockgivers underneath the kickoff. Sivanasiva. And the charge is led by Kieran Cunningham. And he's out.
Oh, he's hurt himself.
Injured. The elbow.
Not again.
He moved away very gingerly from that first tackle.
Well, let's hope that it's just a knock on that elbow, that it's not affected that old injury. He certainly put his body on the line there in the tackle on Sivanasiva.
Great Britain with anxious eyes looking at their hooker, Kieran Cunningham. His first test in 3 years last week. Here come the Australians, and this is Gaznia down the line. And Leon Price did well, stood his ground, and took Mark Gaznia to the floor. That's Badiris, the dummy half. Lockyer with the angle kick. Over the top of Paul Wellens. Oh, Wellens drops it. The ball went backwards. And he's lucky to get away with that, the British fullback.
Well, it was a problem that we had last week against the Kiwis, not particularly the fullback Paul Wellens, but it's Brian Carney that has the football now. Let's hope that he can repay his coach, who's shown a lot of courage in reselecting him for this game.
This now is Jamie Peacock, the Great Britain captain, Bradford's first team captain, or first test captain since Ellery Hanley in 1985, Jamie Peacock. And of course he followed Brian Noble, his coach, into the job as well. Sinfield with a big kick downfield, but it's brilliantly fielded on the run by Anthony Minicello. Remember last year in the Tri-Nations, the ball seemed to and every time Great Britain pumped the ball downfield. Here now is Matt King.
Well, it did on that occasion, but at least we were turning him, running backwards. He wasn't running onto the football like we saw the last appearance.
Fitzgibbon here for Australia from the Sydney Roosters, winning his 14th cap for Australia. Danny Medeiros of Brisbane Broncos at dummy half. And now it's the loose forward, that's Ben Kennedy. Good tackling there by Martin Gleeson. Medeiros infield to Scott Prince. Lockyer attacking the line. Back it comes, great movement. Gaznier again. That's back to six. Back to six. But that was a knock on. I think the referee will play the first knock on. He'll put the head and feet down to Australia here.
Well, once again, Ian Millwood, we are having so many problems down in the centres.
It's a penalty to Australia for offside, is it?
They're going to take the 2 points here, Eddie. I think it's sweet music to every Australian back in Australia to see Gaznier get so much clean ball and twice he's touched the ball. Cooper and Gaznier on this big pitch here at Wigan can create absolute havoc here tonight. And it's great to see Prince and Lockyer working well together, communicating. That's been the question during the week. How's their communication? Gee, I bet Gaznier's just tipped his hat off and said, thanks, guys, more of that.
Well, it was a problem, Eddie, that we had last week against the Kiwis, and it was on the right-hand corner.
You probably saw actually there the British player who came in for the tackle was standing in an offside position after the ball was knocked forward. So that's why Australia have this penalty, and it's Craig Fitzgibbon who needs 6 points for 100 for Australia. That's how he started tonight, and this is for the opening points of this match for the Aussies. He never misses. He has a wonderful boot, Craig Fitzgibbon.
I think you were talking there, Steve-O, about last week. The right-hand side of Great Britain had anything but trouble against New Zealand. It was interesting. Johnson was over as the right second row last week. They've started him on the left side, and he does have a tendency to come out of the line. And twice he's come out of the line, and he suffered. They've got to stay together, otherwise they'll find holes, Australia.
It certainly will, with the way that Gaznier, as you say, on 2 occasions has made inroads.
And it's Deacon with the kickoff. Underneath it again is Lockyer, and it's Sivanasevia once again who takes the ball forward. And fortunately for Britain, it looks like Kieran Cunningham has shrugged off that knock he took on the elbow in the first tackle. Australia, though, leading by 2 points to 0. John Keir, we said Britain needed to get off to a flying start. It hasn't happened yet.
No, it hasn't, and Australia would be very happy with the start that they've made, because really they've dominated the field position by completing the sets. They've also played some pretty good football with the ball movement from the halfbacks, and the kicking game has been exceptional as well. So it's a great start for the green and golds.
They're in possession here once again.
Interesting to see that the debut guy at halfback, Scott Prince, is taking the ball first receiver, but he's moving it about. That's a beautiful miss-out pass.
Good hands from the Australians, and they have green and gold jerseys flooding forward. They're keeping it alive. This is Medeiros, and a kick out wide, looking for the winger here, Brent Tate. He finds him. Tate backs the ball infield, forward. Whoa! Luke O'Connell slides over, but referee Tim Mander from Australia says that was forward. The pat down.
Oh, I don't know how he's got that. The momentum rules surely could have come into it. And we are extremely fortunate. Great work, though, wasn't it? Tate certainly gets it back, and he disappears out of shot. Boy, we are very, very lucky indeed on that. But again, they are just plucking us apart out in the centres.
Yeah, but I've got to give a big rap there, Steve-O, to Tim Manders, the referee. It was exactly in line with the pat back, and there was no doubt at all in his mind. So that's a great piece of refereeing.
It is if you're a true Brit, John, and we are in this commentary. And the momentum rule didn't really come into play there. It was forward as far as Mr. Mander was concerned. Ball finds its way wide to Brian Carney on the bounce, and Carney shrugs off 2. It wouldn't surprise me if this fella has a big game tonight after the horror show he put in at Loftus Road last week. And a dab down the line. But there he is again, radar, Anthony Minicello. But a good chase by Paul Mullins, his opposite number.
Good option as well. Take that short blindside, get the kick through, and he's got them for offside. Just a little bit too keen there. And that'll be so disappointing for the Great Britain camp, because the kick and chase was superb. And then look at this. He was away too early, no doubt about it. Well spotted by Tim Mander. Now, I must say, and I have to complain yet again, Why on earth do we have a New Zealand referee last week, and now we have an Australian with the Australians? What on earth is happening to the international board?
The prop forward, Stephen Price, on the international scene for 7 years. At last making a kangaroo tour, Stephen Price. This now, Craig Fitzgibbon. Just over the halfway line. Third tackle gone. Badiris is the dummy half. It's with Ben Kennedy. Well, Great Britain seem to have slowed the momentum down in the last 4 minutes or so. This is Prince now. High kick. Another tester here for Wellens and Price. Price underneath it and clasped it to his chest. But a wonderful chase again from Australia. And Brent Tate getting the tackle in.
Eddie, I think there's one guy happy at the moment, Brian Carney, after that horrid game he had last week and dropped balls. They haven't put a kick up to him. We're nearly up to 8 minutes in the game. The Australians look very comfortable with the ball. They're not worrying about picking a bloke out. They're really moving the ball around, and they look very comfortable, Eddie.
They do look comfortable. Great Britain get the penalty. Offside.
That is a relieving one as well, and I must agree with the guys that Australia, they have yet to use their forwards when they are in the British half. All they're interested in doing is keeping the ball wide. It'll be interesting to see when the big packs do start clashing with each other. We haven't seen it yet.
Here's the hat-trick hero from last week, Paul Johnson. Tackled, though, by Mark Gasnier. It's with Deacon. Deacon to his Bradford Bulls colleague, Stuart Fielden. He's tackled by Sivanasiva and Price. He'll play the ball 30 metres out to Cunningham, who finds Deacon, who finds Easton Harris. And Harris gets the ball away to Sinfield. Sinfield does well, gets it back to Harris. Here is Jamie Peacock. Great Britain now trying to keep the ball alive if they can. Deacon waits at dummy half. It's with Paul Wellens. And Wellens trying to jink his way around. Tackled on tackle number 4, and Cunningham. And Cunningham scampers from dummy half. Dabs the ball to the in-goal area. And taking no chances there was Matt King. King and Carney nearly sliding into the front row of the stand behind the goal.
We always have to say it in international football, you've got to make sure that your kicking game is good, and that was superb from Cunningham. He had a fantastic game, but the winger was well up to it there, Matt King.
Matt King from the Melbourne Storm, first Kangaroo Tour, an outstanding year with Melbourne. And Brian Noble knows the size of the task his team faces tonight, as Lockyer, with the dropout, gets it into Great Britain territory. That was a knock-on. Oh, Paul Wellens is very lucky to get away with that.
Well, how on earth did the official Tim Mander not call that one?
Well, he was facing his own line. That's why he's got away with it. Oh, he's lost the ball, though, Sinfield. That's a knock-on. Well, it was a great tackle by Stephen Price, but I think justice has been done here.
Yeah, it certainly has, and Price got the shoulder right into the face there. The loose forward, Kevin Sinfield, and that is a knock-on in anybody's book.
Yeah, but he was facing his own line, but the ball went the other way.
It doesn't matter.
Well, I think it's regardless. I mean, obviously it played on and justice been done, but I've been very impressed with how Great Britain's opened up with the kicking game, because the short side kick from Wellens is very effective, and Kieran Cunningham's little kick from dummy half was as well, which shows a greater variation than we'd previously experienced.
This is Gasnier again. He attracted interest from Wigan a couple of years ago. Decided to stay in Australia. It's O'Donnell now for the Aussies, and Badiris quick play the ball. Petero Sivanasiva gets Australia over the halfway line.
Well, just over 10 minutes we've seen, and it's the first time that the power play from the back of Australia in the British half. Interesting to see what they do the cross run in here.
This is Cooper, the centre from the St George Illawarra club. It's a St George Illawarra double act with Gasnier and Cooper. There's another high kick. Oh, that's going to bounce. Great Britain cannot let the ball bounce. Badiris gets it to Gasnier. The ball went backwards again, and that's a knock-on by Badiris. Well, Great Britain cannot allow the ball to hit the deck off the kicks.
They were very fortunate there. Interesting, isn't it? Wayne Bennett pinpointing Leon Price's wing rather than Brian Carney. Obviously feels that Carney would have gone through all this week, taking the ball, the bomb, and defusing it.
Here is Carney now. It's his last appearance on this Wigan ground for a while. Departs the shores for Newcastle Knights for next year, then to the Gold Coast. Here is Johnson. On halfway, Great Britain, 3 tackles gone, this set of 6. Just over 11 minutes gone. Morley, short ball. Oh, hello.
Had a big red cross on that one. That's sure Wellens will be giving Morley a pat on the back for that. But this is a good build-up now. This is where we've got to offload. Or are we going to give it some air?
Last tackle, Harris and Sinfield, and it's a high hanging kick. But it's claimed easy by the winger Matt King.
Under a lot of traffic as well. Good example, any youngster watching the game. Notice how he kept his eyes on the football, took the arms up into the air and then embraced the ball to his chest.
Ben Kennedy now. Back to his best in his first season with Manly. Ben Kennedy, here is Craig Fitzgibbon. Almost to halfway, in fact just gets Australia over the halfway line. Badiras and Prince with a kick to the corner, and Leon Price is after it, and this is a great kick. This is a great kick. Well, it nearly was. Leon Price took a gamble then, and it came off for him. I think he played his joker.
He certainly did. Oh.
Interesting that he wouldn't let Britain restart, although Great Britain were all back on side.
In Super League, Eddie, once you get the ball to the 20-metre start, the referee just says, go, guys. So you get it relayed as quick as possible. In Australia, the referee has to be back and set with the defenders, and that's why the fans are upset.
So is that the international rule, or what?
No, that is the international rule, what Mander's applying by there.
OK, so we're not playing the international rules in Super League. Johnson. I think I prefer to see ours.
Well, as I say, we're supposed to play the same rules, but why on earth I've already mentioned about the fact that we have an Australian referee.
Can I just say on that, if you come up with a poor kick, it doesn't stay in the field of play, you should be punished. You shouldn't be rewarded by letting your defence get set. You should be punished. You should be able to play on the attacking turn.
Escape by Minicello. Great kick from Deacon. It dribbled all along the ground, and it's greasy here. And look at that.
And great tactics. I was a bit surprised as the fullback, he thought that he went back, but the tactics have not just given him plenty of air.
I think in 2 years that we've watched the Tri-Nations, Steve, that's the first mistake I've seen from Anthony Minicello.
Yeah, well, he's only human. But our tactics are very good indeed.
Glorious opportunity for Great Britain here, though. Here is Justin Harris. Plays a short ball. And Gleeson is not tackled. He gets up again. And so close now, Great Britain. Will they feed it wide? No, they come back this way with Deacon. And Deacon gives it to Morley. And Morley is halted by Simon Asiva. Could have been penalised. Kieran Cunningham. Cunningham short ball. Peacock.
He was far too flat, Peacock there. He should have been at least 2 yards further behind.
Cunningham
running
again.
onto the football.
Looping pass to Justin Harris. Here now is Deacon. Deacon, it goes wide to Senior. Not the best off his toe, but fortunately retaining possession for his side despite the pressure from Lockyer. It's Deacon. Deacon now to Stuart Fielden. Oh, Fielden loses the ball forward, and Minicello picks up, and Anthony Minicello will be a very lead fullback. And that's a flop by Jamie Peacock.
Got away with it, though.
He has.
And I'm not so sure that the referee... Oh, that's a high shot. He's got him for that one.
Cunningham was high.
He didn't miss. Well, that's silly play. Good build-up by the British. And then he swings right over the top of the shoulder. More or less just pulled it behind at the last moment, but even so, anything above the shoulders, you have to be penalised. We have to just put them on the rack. We've already noticed 3 good little grubber kicks has put in a lot of trouble on the Australians, but we can't give away penalties like that. We need good position.
I think the word you're looking for, Steve-O, is consistency. Consistency on your kicks. Consistency on your discipline when teams come out of their half. And at the moment, Great Britain in the last game and the start of this is they're looking for that consistent element.
Good hands from Australia, but Luke O'Donnell halted by good tackling by Paul Johnson. He now is Gaznia. Very exciting player this fellow is. You know, they will have to beat Australia twice in a month to make it to the final. None of this squad was born the last time they beat Australia twice in the same series. That's the size of the task facing Great Britain tonight, but so far only 2 points down and 16.5 minutes gone. This is the last tackle. Prince's kick. It's easy this for Wellens. He gobbles those up. And Wellens moves away, evades the would-be challengers twice.
That's the first poor kick we've seen from the green and golds. And that'll be good relief, though. That's good defence and good work there by Price. Both sides just testing each other out.
Carney now for Great Britain.
The only problem between the two sides is that Australia have been giving it plenty of air.
Penalty. Carney was trying to get on with it quickly, and Fitzgibbon was all over him.
Well spotted as well. Looked a bit of a high shot as well into his face. The point I was making is that Australia keeping the ball alive. We have not seen much width being played by the British boys as yet.
Fifth penalty of the match, second to Great Britain. They're on halfway with Deacon. Here now is Harris. Back it goes to Sinfield. Sinfield wide to Martin Gleeson.
I'll tell you what though, Eddie, it's a proper test match, this one. There's not points aplenty, there's not big holes in the defence, and the sets of 6 are being completed. It is a great test match.
2-0 Australia lead from the early penalty by Craig Fitzgibbon. And the possession has evened up considerably as Fielden takes the ball forward again, tackled on number 3. Good run from Cunningham, looking for the penalty. He's got Deacon in support. And Deacon takes tackle number 4, this set of 6.
He's
Cunningham again.
He's a man again, is Cunningham. The runs from dummy half, causing all sorts of confusions at the moment.
What an awful pass wide, and this is Cooper. And Matt Cooper. Oh, it's a walk-in. It's a walk-in all the way to the line for Matt Cooper. And Kieran Cunningham's pass out wide was just plucked out of the air by Cooper. And Cooper goes in for the first try of this international.
Well, I can't believe it.
And that's a gift.
I have just put the mocker on the man of the match as far as I was concerned for Great Britain last week. He was creating all sorts of problems, but he did the little run away. It was a looping pass, and Cooper said thank you very much indeed. And that's the second occasion that we have seen Britain threatening the Australian line. Before that, they gave away a silly penalty. It was a high shot from Cunningham. This time, the hooker has given a gift to Cooper. He won't have an easier try than that. He knew he had the legs, had the pace, the pistons were going. Didn't have to get into top gear. Against the run of play, but you have to take your chances.
Matt Cooper from the St George Illawarra Dragons on his 3rd cap. 4 times he's played for New South Wales. Mike Forshaw immediately off the bench, carrying the message from coach Brian Noble down the ear of Kieran Cunningham. Rain teeming down here at Wigan as Fitzgibbon from bang in front makes it 98 points for his country. Personally, an 8-0 for his country here at Wigan tonight. And Matt Cooper with the try. 13 tries for the Dragons this year. Only the former Hull man Colin Best with 20 got more for the Dragons in the NRL this year.
Well, that really is a big knock to the confidence of the British boys. Cunningham was obviously going to be a key player in our attacking ploys, but on that occasion, I must say, Ian Millwood, disappointment you could see etched in the hooker's face.
You know, the disappointing thing for him also was, Steve-O, was the amount of players that were standing behind Kieran and not pushing up and offering themselves as support. When he did throw the ball, there was only 2 blokes out there, so they were easy to read by the defence. And I think it gets bad news for him too, and good news for Australia. I think their 2 best front rowers have come on, O'Mealy and Riles, and they've got the start they wanted.
They have got the start they wanted, but that was the most un-Kieran Cunningham-like pass.
It was. I think that shows an anxious team as well, Eddie, there, because it was un-Kieran Cunningham-like, and it shows the anxiety within the team. When you're in a test match, you're in an arm wrestle, just stay in it, keep going through the processes, and the scoreboard will look after itself without doing something out of the ordinary.
Another good kick there from Australia, and Wellens collecting it behind his own line. And the chase has arrived in the shape of Mark O'Mealy, yes it was. And here now is Keith Senior. Hasn't really exploded this year, Keith Senior, in the Tri-Nations yet. And Morley, the man of course they all know about in the green and gold jerseys, Adrian Morley, plays in the NRL for the Sydney Roosters. John, a tackle on Jamie Peacock.
John, I pose a question. Would you be throwing Thackeray into the fray now?
Yes, I certainly would, because he's a type of player who disrupts the pattern of a game, does Jamie Thackeray. He goes out there and he'll do something to lift the team, so I'd certainly be sending him out there with a good 15 minutes to go before half-time.
That's a nice little dab over the top by Kevin Sinfield, but it's very well watched. Great defence there from the try scorer, Matt Cooper. Well, the one thing about Jamie Thackeray, John, if he does get out there on the field, he'll upset somebody.
He certainly will, yes. He'll be in somebody's face, and, you know, there'll be some fireworks when he gets out there, and I think now would be a great time. I think it'll give a big lift to the British boys.
He may upset the Hull directors. He may be on a bonus to making his international debut. They normally have that written into their contract, but we need something, not just money. We need someone to really rattle these Australians.
It's a decent enough tackle from Peacock. There is Thackeray waiting his chance on the bench, and this is Lockyer who hoisted. Now then, this is a kick out wide to Brian Carney's wing. The ball is knocked back and then bounced off the legs of Cooper and found its way into touch.
Well, the most important thing about that kick, and it would have been seen by the Australian coach Wayne Bennett, Carney didn't even involve himself.
Well, I thought that was good wing play, though, Steve-O, because he's saying to Matt King, you take the ball, it's the last tackle, and I'll just jam you over the sideline into touch. So all credit there to Brian Carney.
You don't think there's apprehension then?
No, I think that was a good decision by the wingman.
Little juggle there by Jamie Peacock. This is Fielden. Oh, Fielden loses the ball forward.
Well, it's very slippy out there, but it is important if you do lose possession, make sure you're not underneath your own sticks. Pretty solid defence. The Australians are past masters at it. You'll notice one man will make sure he goes down for the legs. The other one will go to hit the upper body on the ball-carrying arm. It's effective.
And here is Prince, who gets the ball away to Gaznia. He sneaks away from Senior, but loses the ball. It was good pressure on him from Paul Johnson. Leon Price gets to his feet, and Thackeray waits to be introduced, and Mickey Hyam is there as well. Two men who might just change the direction of this test match for Great Britain. It's with Wellens. 23.5 minutes gone, 8-0 the Australians lead. On they come, Thackeray and Hyam for Morley and Cunningham. Out they come then. Britain's wild cards, and here's Thackeray. Straight into the action. That's lifted the crowd, but it lifts the team. Hyam. Pass to Fielden. And Fielden, oh, he's wrestled to the ground.
The British boys are getting through a lot of work in the forwards, but we're not seeing any offloads. We've got to get our support play a lot better. What on earth is that?
Well, that was different. And yeah. Gleeson stabs the ball forward, and Minicello had to apply the brakes, but still coming up with the possession, Minicello, just the same.
Well, that was surprising. I thought we were going to see another, remember, St. Helens, long kick the ball out wide.
Well, there's no wide to West out there, is there? And there's no Chris Joynt out there either.
Let's hope there's a bit of wild West out there with Thackeray in there. He's getting himself involved.
Marco Mealy has the ball, though, for the Australians. It's Badiris. Badiris then to Ben Kennedy. Good meters forward by Kennedy. Gets to the halfway line. Badiris again. Lockyer, the skipper, down the line with the kick, but out on the fall. Mistake from Darren Lockyer.
Rarely see that. I must say it's a good position now for Britain to really launch something, but
Darren Lockyer's had a modest 2005 by his own standards, hasn't he?
Yeah, in fact, a lot of people were saying to me that, you know, Australia wouldn't be the same with Andrew Johns. Now, I've seen them, Andrew Johns and this fella Lockyer play together. They're so similar, I do not think that they actually worked. And I think Wayne Bennett will be quite happy to throw in Scott Prince, the debut boy, because all he's done is given the ball to Lockyer. He's given him plenty of time with the ball in hand.
And there is great. O'Mealy was in very late then.
Not only late, but it appeared as though the knees were becoming involved.
I was going to mention, Steve, when you're talking about the half-back combination as we watch this again, it's a bit high from Luke O'Donnell as well, but there is Craig Gower in this party, and how many times has Craig Gower tormented the life out of Great Britain? He's not on the bench tonight.
And don't forget Trent Barrett, the quality of that man as well.
Great Britain need to score here with Easton Harris on the bounce. It finds its way eventually to Martin Gleeson. Gleeson is tackled by Prince and also by Matt Cooper. It is Brian Carney now. Carney doing his best. He would love to have a big influence on this match this evening. Here's Mickey Hyam, who will be playing on this ground for the Wigan Warriors next year. One of the most unusual transfers in rugby league history to Bradford, and then in the next hour He arrived at Wigan from St Helens. That's a penalty. That's a penalty against Deacon.
Well, he's complaining that the ball carrying arm did not hit the deck, but I think the tackle has been completed.
No doubt about it.
Well, I was making the point that that should have been play on. He was still moving. That is a very unfortunate penalty, and Brian Noble agrees with me.
Never, he said.
Well, I'm just making a point, you know, that Deacon there, you see he was looking, but even when he offloaded, we don't seem to have anybody coming on the second phase. A lot of hard work, yet again. John Keir, it's just hard work won't win your game against the Australians.
No, but you've got to stay within the arm wrestle, because we coughed too many errors up last week against New Zealand. We can't afford the same. And I thought an enterprising piece of play there involved Thackeray straight off the tap, and we did catch them a little at 6 and 7 on the fringes. But it's just a matter of staying patient, staying in the ball game.
Luke O'Donnell takes tackle number 3 on halfway, and that was Trent Barrett at dummy half. Prince gets the ball away to Jason Riles. Didn't make much progress there, Australia, just about 7 or 8 metres on that tackle. And here is Prince again, kicks to the open space behind the British defence, but that will skip away on this greasy surface, and the ball goes dead in goal.
Just a little bit too strong there from the youngster. Interesting to see they were kicking on the 4th tackle. They're quite happy. You could see there that Carney had not dropped back. He won't drop back until it's virtually on the last tackle. So pretty good tactics by the Aussies.
Here comes number 14, Lee Gilmore, winning his 9th cap tonight off the bench, the St Helens man, getting the nod ahead of Gareth Ellis of the Leeds Rhinos.
That's got to be a penalty.
It is. The ball was stolen.
Well, that really was silly play by Trent Barrett. They'd done all the hard work, and then he just reefs the ball away. He may have got away with it with...
Tell you, Steve, it's just as we said, though. Things happen when he gets out there.
Yep.
So Mickey Hine will restart for Great Britain. The ball goes to ground, but it makes its way to Thackeray.
Again, we're just doing far too much one out. We haven't even seen anybody wanting to run on the angle.
Here is Sinfield. Gets the ball away, Easton Harris. And it's now with the hat-trick hero from last week, Paul Johnson, looking out on the fringes, trying to get past the defence. Sinfield. And waiting at dummy half is Mickey Hine. Deacon. And Gilmore. Good tackling, though, by Lockyer. Deacon again. Here is Stuart Fielden. 3 men to tackle Fielden.
Will it be a high one, or will they just put it on the grubber?
They're running it here with Easton Harris. They have men on the overlap wide. And here is Carney. There's no way through for Carney, is there? No, he can't get the ball away. And he's in touch.
Eddie and Steve, I know you're talking about support play, and that's a skill that it creates desire, doesn't it? You know, anyone can support a ball carrier. The people at home wouldn't realise is that Great Britain are playing so deep, and because they're playing so deep, we haven't got anyone offering themselves in the next hole. We haven't got enough doubt put in the Australians, and the other thing is, because they're so deep, they can see it, read it, and react, and they've got time, and that's the adjustment they need in their attack.
Nice to hear you saying we when you talk about Great Britain.
Now, I've got to pick you up there, Eddie. You said, I'm Australian. And I sang that national anthem very loud. I hope you never even complimented me there.
Well, at least you stood to attention.
Don't worry about it. Turned your mic off.
And Steve-O was on his feet for both the national anthems, of course, as per normal. Here is Jason Riles. And it's now Trent Barrett who gets the ball to Prince, and Prince again punches the ball into the corners. And Leon Price is going to have to run this ball back. And they get as far as Gasnier, but Gasnier misses the tackle.
That was wonderful work by the centre, Keith Senior. He took an Australian out. He was trying to get to tackle the winger, Leon Price.
Here is Sinfield, the Leeds Rhino skipper, operating it loose forward tonight.
That should lift their spirits. That's the first real solo break we've seen.
Good offload.
That's better.
Here is Fielden. Fielden wide to Senior. And Senior grounded by the tackle from Gasnier, and Lockyer wants wants to get on with it quickly, does so. Ooh, that looked a touch forward from Price to Thackeray.
That is wonderful. Look, it's only the third tackle. And we're well and truly into the Australian half. We've got to make this count. If we can't score on this, we've got to make sure we get a second set of 6.
It's Deacon. Back it goes to Wellens. Wellens attacking the line. A good tackle by Ben Kennedy. That's the last tackle. And here is Johnson, and it's with Deacon, and that kick comes high and wide. And here's a little tester for the winger, Brent Tate, but he clutches it out of the air. That's a very important tackle by Adrian Morley.
Was it ever? Superb. Oh, good work there.
You're saying that Gasnier knocked on.
Man.
Right under the nose of the touch judge, who wouldn't have anything to do with that. Here's Minicello.
The thing is, you can see that the rain is just pouring down now. That was great work by Morley. Nearly got there before Gasnier.
I don't think people at home appreciate, Steve-O. That's a front rower on a winger.
Yep.
That's incredible. The way he's just saved a try. His desire was unbelievable.
Jason Riles gets the ball away to Matt Cooper. And he is bundled down by Kevin Sinfield on the last tackle. Minicello's the dummy half. Infield it comes to Prince. Prince back to Lockyer. And Lockyer will stab the ball towards the corner. And that will run just dead. But there are only inches in these kicks for Australia, not being absolutely blinding from Lockyer and company. And Carney will run it back on the first tackle for Great Britain, but only as far as the substitute, Trent Barrett.
You can see quite clearly that this ground is very heavy indeed, and that really does sap the energy. And in these conditions, an 8-point lead, that is a fairly high mountain to climb for the British boys, but they've got to keep pegging away.
Well, they're keeping going. That's the important thing. They're trying all they know. There's a few offloads. They're playing the ball out wide, and here they come now with Justin Harris. Turns the ball back in field to Martin Gleeson. Lost the ball in the tackle.
Oh, that really must irritate Brian Noble, the Great Britain coach.
Had a sensational Tri-Nations last year, Martin Gleeson. He hasn't really lit the scene up yet this year.
Eddie Ogden, Stuart Fielden, unreplaced. All front row has been replaced. We've got 6 minutes to go. He's still going like the first minute. God, he's got an engine on him, hasn't he?
Hates to come off. Hates to come off. He never likes to miss a minute of the match, Stuart Fielden. And Brian Noble, his club coach, knows all about that, of course. On the bounce.
Well, he just realised, did Brent Tate, that he was going to be penalised for a voluntary tackle. Started moving forward at the very final moment.
Mark Amelie, tackled by Lee Gilmore. Here's Fitzgibbon.
The one thing that has improved from last week in the Great Britain side is their defence is a lot solid, especially in and around the play the ball area.
Prince. Ball was lost, and Prince, was he standing in offside position? No.
They'll play the knock-on. You can see on the close-up the amount of rain that is hitting this ground. It was a pretty good hit, wasn't it, by Paul Deacon?
Yeah, Ian's spoken about playing a flat attack, and the Australians are certainly trying to do that. But one of the dangers in conditions like this, if you get a team really advancing in the defensive line and cutting your space down, you can force headers like that. And obviously, that's what Brian Noble will take great heart from, and he must insist that Great Britain continue to do that.
Big hit and another big hit. The 214.
Surely he's going to get up for that.
Clashing there.
Well, that was like coconut shy.
This is Carney.
Dear me, 5 balls for the bob. That was ridiculous.
Nicky Hine, great little run. Important ankle tackle that by Barrett. Deacon, Chev Walker, Keith Senior, halted by Lockyer, finished off by 2 more. Amelie was in there, so too was Mark Gasnier. Leon Price at dummy half. The pass drifts into the arms of Hine. That's a poor
that
kick.
is poor.
This is Minicello.
That's losing the composure. He knew he wasn't supposed to get that ball, and it was just sheer panic. And at this level, that's the difference between the two sides at the moment.
It is, Steve-O. The Aussies would have just kept in the process, and we'd got numbers, you know, wide out, and the ball just needed sending wide to bring their wingers up. Then you've got the alternative to put the kick behind him.
Just over 3.5 minutes to the half-time siren. Australia leading by 8 points to 0. Petro Sivanasiva for the Australians. 137th meeting this is between the two nations. Great Britain 60 wins, Australia now 71. We've had 5 draws. The kick downfield comes into the arms eventually of Paul Wellens.
Again, we see them kicking on the 4th tackle, quite happy to do that. That's the confidence of knowing that your chase will be solid, and it is.
Leon Price gets the pass away. Yistin Harris.
Oh, they stood around. Dear me, you could throw a satellite dish over about 5 of them there.
They've got the penalty, though. That's a relieving penalty for Great Britain. Scott Prince spinning the man round on the deck.
Well, Steve, when you talk about the Australian referee, I think he's been excellent, to tell you the truth. I think his calls have been very clear. I think they've been correct. I think he's had an outstanding first 40 minutes.
This is Chev Walker.
But it is unfair to put the pressure on people like that when you're refereeing your own country.
Well, it's the innuendo, isn't it? That's all.
Well, of course it is, and sometimes it might go against the Australians.
Play on, says the referee. And this is Hyan, and a good tackle coming in from Riles. This is Wellens. Wellens attacking the line. Gets the ball back to Sinfield. Here is Yistin Harris underneath the would-be tackle of Ben Kennedy. Finished off by Scott Prince. Sinfield 10 metres away, Great Britain. Deacon, and Deacon. Here now is the big prop forward. Stuart Fielden just short of the line. Mickey Hyan at dummy half. Back it comes to Yistin Harris. Harris floats it wide. Gleeson, he has to take the tackle. And does so from Matt Cooper. It's the last one. Chev Walker. Harris. Good ball. To ground. Off the legs. Flicked hither and thither and keeps it going. Back it goes. Still the last. Still the last with Morley. And Britain tackled on the last. And they say, the crowd anyway, that touched an Australian leg or hand. The referee has none of it.
Well, it was pinball wizard time, wasn't it? It was all over the joint. Who's got this? Who hasn't got it? Is it going back?
I think Gaznia played at that.
Looked like it, didn't it?
Here he is anyway.
Well, Steve, you spoke about the satellite dish. You can throw one over the Aussies here as well. Well, I think they've lost their composure a little.
They certainly have. I think they're quite happy to say, let's get to the half-time hooter here. But this is where Australia can be so dangerous. You can't allow them to just relax. They'll think, oh, it looks like they're going to just do nothing, keeping a bunch. But now you've seen the 3 quarters. They're fanning out. Will they run the power play? I think they might. No. Safety first.
Drills it into touch to Trent Barrett.
That's great respect.
Brian Noble's on his way down to greet his players in the dressing room. Wayne Bennett made his way down a few seconds ago.
I think both teams said thanks, Trent, for doing that because of these conditions. They have absolutely banged each other here in the last 20 minutes, and both sets of forwards said, hey, guys, let's get to our lunch pretty quick, eh?
25 seconds and counting to the half-time siren. Britain will have a couple of tackles, and it's with Harris and wide to Martin Gleeson. And Gleeson is halted. 10 seconds to the half-time siren. Harris once again. This is Chev Walker now. Trying to get to his feet quickly. Oh, and that was a real schmozzle at the ruck there. And the kick downfield from Yistin Harris.
Well, they'll just kick this dead. They won't even bother trying to pick it up.
Well, will they, or will Minicello try and get a length of the field try?
That surprised me, this. He could slip from his grasp.
Actually, he looked over his shoulder. He saw the fact that it was 0-0-0-0 on the scoreboard, the big clock that we have on the screen here, and he knew that was the last tackle of this first half. So, well, it's only an interception try that the Australians have scored, courtesy of Matt Cooper. 2 goals from Craig Fitzgibbon. And the Aussies lead by 8 points to 0 at half-time, but it was a stroll in the park for Matt Cooper. And he was over underneath the sticks, and Australia leading by 8 points to 0.
Gillette M3 Power Nitro, sponsors of the Tri-Nations tournament. Gillette M3 Power Nitro, sponsors of the Tri-Nations tournament.
The Tri-Nations continues next Saturday. Great Britain, New Zealand. We have a 5:30 start for you on Sky Sports 1. And we're at the midway point of this Game 4 of the Tri-Nations of 2005. Great Britain 0, Australia 8. Cooper with the try, Fitzgibbon with the 2 goals for the Aussies. Great Britain emerged for the start of the second half. In Australia, they know that they are 40 minutes away from maybe taking one giant stride towards their second Tri-Nations final in succession. And their supporters know it too. A misty, miserly night here in Wigan. But we've got 40 minutes of fast and frenetic stuff to come. Australia in the green and gold will attack as we watch from right to left. And Lockyer gets the second half underway. Wellens is underneath the kickoff. Oh, that is not the start that Great Britain wanted. Mistake in 4 seconds.
Well, that's amazing. Remember, early in the game, I was indicating to youngsters watching that how the arms should be extended. You could see quite clearly that Wellens didn't move the arms at all and allowed it to hit the chest. Oh, this could be a nightmare.
Yes, this could be a catastrophic start to the second half. Here is Gaznia. Great Britain have got to muscle up in defence. That's what they're doing over there. It was Harris with the tackle. Here is the run from Mark Amili, and he gets the Australians to win 5 metres of the British line. It takes 3 to halt him, but that's only tackle number 2 this opening set of 6 of the second half. It comes back to Scott Prince, and Prince tries to jink his way around Adrian Morley. And in there also is Mickey Hyam, and they go down the right channel. It was Trent Barrett who just lost his footing. Mark Amili is the dummy half. And on the run is Prince, and here now is Craig Fitzgibbon. And Australia running down a blind alley at the moment. That is tackle number 5. It's the last tackle. Can Great Britain stand firm as Barrett at dummy half finds Scott Prince. Prince to Lockyer, ball back and on the bounce, finds its way to O'Mealy. Now the kick wide. There's danger here because it's on Brian Carney's wing, and it's flicked up to Cooper, and Cooper is forced into touch.
Great work by Carney there. Didn't lose control. Great effort. Didn't go out of position. Well, did he tackle him with when he was up in the air? That's a moot point. Either way, Carney did the right thing. Make sure he got the defence in. Now he's carting it away from dummy half. Oh, that's good work.
It is a brave run from the Irishman. Brian Carney is 10th cap for Great Britain. Vice captain Leon Price.
That's another thing that the British boys have got to do. They've got to share the work.
We get the penalty. That's a relieving penalty. And Jason Riles is having a word with Tim Mander.
Well, there's little doubt he was trying to give him a facial as well. Silly play, Jason Riles. Wayne Bennett will send the word out for that. Now then, this is where we just have to grind our way through. We've got to get good field position.
Morley, good run up the middle.
Then we've got a bit more adventurous. Maybe the simple run around. Run the angles.
Mickey Hyam takes them on, but the tackle by Riles and Kennedy. Good moments for Great Britain after a dreadful start. It's now Easton Harris, a dreadful start to the second half. They really could do with getting over for the try here. Britain would give them such hope. It's with Deacon, and Deacon finds Sinfield, and back to Deacon, and wide it comes to Gleeson, and Gleeson gets the ball out to Carney, and Carney is halted by 3 green and gold jerseys. Tackle number 4, 2 remaining. Deacon. And Deacon gives the pass to Kevin Sinfield, and Sinfield to Gleeson again, and Gleeson loops the ball. In actual fact, it touched an Australian, but it was not played at, says Mr. Mander. So it's tackle number 5.
Got to get it in the goal area. That's a good kick, but they're there in numbers. It'll bounce awkward. Oh, good play. But that's the type of kick that was needed. Great work there by the winger.
On their own line. That's a good hit from Chev Walker on Minicello.
Important they do not give away a silly penalty now.
3 tackles gone, 15 metres made by the Australians. Here's Sivanasiva.
Great defence. They're hunting in the pack. They're up for this. A mistake from the kick-off by the fullback Paul Wellens. That'll be just brushed to one side now.
Yes, it was a horror start from Wellens, but Britain toughed it out in defence, and now they're toughing it out at the other end of the field. Scott Prince with the kick, not convincing, but it finds its way to Leon Price. Let's get the half-time news. Chris is with the Australians. First Bill with Great Britain.
It's a pretty satisfied Great Britain camp. Well, scoreline apart, but the aim in this second half, early in this second half, complete the sets, just try and turn the Australians round, improve the kicking game, play off Kieran Cunningham when he comes back on the field, and they reckon that there's still a chance here for Great Britain. Every chance, that is. It's painful watching for one man, the Great Britain skipper, as was Paul Sculthorpe, who's sitting up in the stand there, having to sit this one out, of course, having undergone a knee injury. He reckons there's every hope for his side, but they've got to find some penetration, he thinks. Let's get the Australian viewpoint. Here's Chris.
Well, the Aussie viewpoint, they're pretty happy with the way things are going at the moment. They're sticking to their game plan. They're executing it well. The kicking game in the first half, perhaps from Darren Lockyer, not that great, but Scott Prince in the first half, his kicking game was superb. One thing that Wayne Bennett does want to see an improvement in that is not so much the kicking game, but the kick chase around the ruck. They need to tighten things up, but overall pretty happy. Injury front, none to report.
Thanks, boys. Kieran Cunningham, as you see, back on the field for Great Britain. Start of this second half. Here now is Brent Tate. And Fitzgibbon will drive the ball forward again for Australia on tackle number 4. Another good set of 6 defensively here for Great Britain so far. But they're trying to give it some width, and they do that. And they do that with conviction. It's Cooper, and a good tackle by Gleeson.
Great defence there by Britain. They weren't sucked in. Kept the sliding solid.
Prince.
Sure they went as a unit.
Prince was under pressure, but the ball straight into the arms of Leon Price.
That was a poor kick by the youngster. Now then, we have to launch something.
Deacon trying to do exactly that. Great jinking run from the scrum half.
Quick play the ball.
The tackle from Lockyer. Tackle number 1. This is Harris. And Harris, a little dummy, tries to go on his own up the middle. The tackle comes in from O'Mealy and Sivanasiva. Cunningham is waiting at dummy half. He gets the ball away to Lee Gilmore. And Gilmore flicks the pass back to Stuart Fielden. Fielden still out there, has been from the start. Cunningham will attack the line. Gives a short pass to Paul Wellens, his St Helens teammate. Tackle there by Ben Kennedy. And this is Sinfield. Short pass. It's the captain, Peacock. And Peacock is grounded 7-8 metres from the line. Struggles to get to his feet. Sinfield. Cunningham. Oh, not the best. And Harris's kick was awful.
Well, again, just panic situation, set it in.
It was a poor pass, and Harris had to just do something, and he decided to fly hack it forward.
But the thing is, they had the ball in hand. It went through 2 pairs, and they should be thinking of dinking it into the in-goal area.
Yeah, I don't think they've to do anything out of the ordinary. They've just to do the ordinary things extraordinary well, and we weren't doing it there. But you've got to give a big rap to Stuart Fielden now. 2 kicks from Scott Prince have been poor, and it's been because of the kick pressure from that man who's been out there all that time.
There's a mistake from the Australians. It was a big error, 0 tackle. And the error was from Jason Riles. This is Kevin Sinfield now.
You can see the ground cutting up. Again, it's going to be down to who's got the most petrol in the tank at the very, very last moments. It'll come from a mistake the next try.
Harris.
You can virtually guarantee that.
Flicks the ball, and this is Peacock. He keeps the ball alive. It's with Chev Walker. Walker, it goes wide to Leon Price. Price comes inside Lockyer. Escapes the tackle. Can't get away from the next 2. There are 3 tackles remaining, this set of 6 for Great Britain. And Cunningham will attack the line. And Cunningham's given it to Morley. And Morley! The Great Britain! Adrian Morley next to the post. Just the lift that Great Britain needed. Start of this second half. Adrian Morley sent off after 12 seconds against Australia on this ground 2 years ago for the tackle on Robbie Cairns. Now he has breathed life into Great Britain's Tri-Nations challenge.
It all came about by the mistake from Riles. got them in good position, and it's that man again, Cunningham. It was Johnson on 3 occasions last week against the Kiwis. This time, it's Adrian Morley. Great work. See how he just spun out of the tackle. Didn't want to commit his entire body into the would-be defender. He was spinning as he took the ball. It allowed him to spin around for the try, right under the sticks. Listen to the crowd here. They fully deserve that. You've got to take advantage when the opposition make the mistake. It was Riles that knocked on. Surely Sinfield can bring this game back to just 2 points.
From bang in front, Kevin Sinfield, and he makes no mistake. It's Great Britain 6, it's Australia 8. Game 4 of the Gillette Tri-Nations, and Britain are alive. And Roy Keane, the captain of Manchester United, watching from the stands here at the JJB Stadium. He has had much to say, allegedly, about his Manchester United teammates and the plight that they find themselves in at the moment. Of course, I'll bet he will be an interested spectator at Old Trafford tomorrow when Chelsea are the visitors. Tonight he's here at the JJB Stadium because he loves his rugby league. And we're 10 minutes into the second half, and Great Britain suddenly have got a lot of hope in this Tri-Nations Game 4.
Well, they would be quite happy as well, because we've been seeing 34 players out there giving all their effort. Nobody's shirking out on this one. We've got a new ball game. The confidence has to stay with us now. It's important that we get through another set of 6, get to a good field position, put a little bit of doubt in the Australian minds.
Fielden for Great Britain has to take the tackle. It's the last one. They're still inside their own half of the field, Great Britain, with Cunningham, and Cunningham to Deacon, and Deacon to Sinfield. A bit of width for Sinfield. That's not a bad kick. And the winger, Matt King, is underneath that, and King will run it back. Strength in the tackle, though, from Euston Harris and company.
Great reception committed, and that's what's needed.
Minicello for Australia. We've got Ian Millwood and John Keir here. John, if you were Brian Noble, what would you be saying at half-time?
I'd have told them just to continue doing what they were doing, build pressure, stay patient, and the kickers trying to get some repeat sets in order to put the pressure on Australia. And just as it has happened when the pressure was on, Cunningham took full advantage. There's no need to change anything, just keep grinding away.
And Ian, what would Wayne Bennett have said, do you think?
I think he wants all of this, Eddie. He said cash in your possession. We spoke about half-time to get field position, because it's shown with Riles' error that Australia come up with an error, and then Great Britain scored. Cash in field position, and cash in the ball, get the field position, and I think Australia will score if they get that close a line.
Walker gets the ball away to Keith Senior, and Senior offloads to Paul Deacon. Deacon takes a big hit there from Trent Barrett. Walker, there's Leon Price, big pardon.
And again, I've got to make that point. This is where the 3/4 and the British camp have got to take a lot of the pressure off the forwards, because late in this game, it'll go down to what's fuels left. And sharing the workload is important.
Cunningham gets the ball away. Here is Peacock.
But what a difference it makes, you know, when Cunningham comes onto the field of play.
Last tackle here for Great Britain. There is Cunningham again. Finds its way to Harris, and the dink over the top from Harris. And it's a difficult ball for Minicello to pick. He gets it in the end. Great chase from Gleeson. Here now, Matt King. Suddenly Britain with their tails up. The Lions are roaring.
Great little kick on the blind side. That's what you need. Forget about giving it air so it can go right down the throat of the man in the fullback position or the wingers. On these conditions, make sure the ball hits terra firma, and it can go anywhere.
The Pride took a battering last week for Great Britain. It took a battering in Sydney, you may remember, July 2002. But Test match football, alive and well over the past 3 or 4 years.
Eddie, in rugby league, we also always talk about the star players, the centres and the halves who create that little bit of star about the game. But it's the front row which will dominate in these conditions. And I feel Fielden and Morley, gee, they've come out and dominated the Australians. And they're the ones who have asserted the authority around the rucks.
Wellens is tackled by Craig Fitzgibbon. Cunningham, the dummy half. Now Morley, the scorer of the Peacock it was. No, Morley it was, the scorer of the try. Cunningham and Harris. Harris running it up to the halfway line on tackle number 4.
Taking more control now as a standoff, Justin Harris. And again, it's that man, Kieran Cunningham, is really bossing the dummy half position. A little bit confused at the Australians at the moment. That's a good kick.
Great kick from Sinfield. Kicking game much better here tonight, but it's a far wider, much longer pitch than we had at Loftus Road a week ago tonight. It was very skinny in diameter.
I think though also, Eddie, I think the options taken by Great Britain have been very good as well. They've kicked from dummy half, they've kicked down the short side, they've kicked from the second receiver, and they've also taken the ball right to the middle of the field, so they've got 2 options. So they've worked really hard on that, and it's paid off for them.
The British pack has got the wind at their backs at the moment. Certainly their tails are up. They are bossing the match. They're winning the collision. Here, though, is one they have to win with Craig Fitzgibbon, and that is the last tackle.
Most important factor is that Great Britain are getting the field position.
Prince with the kick.
Poor one.
And look who was on the kick pressure. It was Stuart Fielder once again. He's having a great game.
Here comes Senior, looking for the score that would take Britain ahead of Australia, who lead by 8 points to 6. A quarter of an hour of this second half gone. And there's a problem here for Adrian Morley. He has come off the field, and Thackeray has had to replace him. This is Johnson.
Oh, that is great meters forward.
Problem for Morley as he leaves the field. It's Deacon, and Deacon slides a kick through, and it's picked up on the bounce by Matt King.
They're waiting though. 5 and 6 defenders there, just plugging away a Great Britain.
Minicello, no way through. Good tackle there by Deacon and Paul Johnson. That's Stephen Price, not the best pass, but oh, brilliant hands. And here is Matt King. Good tackle by Gleeson, it needed to be. Prince again. Lockyer back on the inside. No forward pass, a great screen from the terrace. No forward pass. Badiras to Prince, and Prince drifts the kick over the top. Poor into the arms of Leon Price. Operating on the wing, hopefully wants to play standoff for St Helens next season.
Well, Wayne Bennett surely will get the message out now and take the responsibility of the kicking game away from the little halfback, Scott Prince. The last 3 kicks have not been good, and it's Cunningham yet again creating all sorts of trouble. He went looking for the penalty there, should have got it. Badiras did not get back the 10.
Johnson for Great Britain. Still trailed by 2 points here, but deep inside Australian territory. And here is Thackeray. And Thackeray is grounded.
Another dink into the in goal. Keep it low, fellas.
It's with Harris, and Harris does drift the kick through, and that's bouncing all over the shop. And there's work to be done here, and doesn't he do it well? The winger Brent Tate, he does it brilliantly. Look at the meters he's made there, 20 meters from underneath his own sticks. Brian Noble knows that's just taken the pressure off.
That could be the play of the game, Eddie. That was sensational wing play, wasn't it? It looks as if Britain was going to get another double deal, and we end up on the back foot.
Here's Willie Mason. Just 9 appearances this year, 7 starts, injured on his way home against the United States of America last year. This is Ben Kennedy. They're over the halfway line, but it's tackle number 4. Badiras waits. Badiras infield. And it's Price. He takes the last tackle this set of 6. Badiras again. Back to Scott Prince. Prince gives it a bit of air to Lockyer. Oh, here they come. They have a man on the overlap. Minicello. Ball sticks in the hand.
Oh, he's dropped it. Good tackle by Paul Wellens. It was try time. Gaznia had all the time in the world here. He was losing it first, and Wellens had committed himself. Boy, Wayne Bennett knows that could be the ball game. They've still got that 2-point advantage. We got caught out there on the left-hand side. They're playing their cards at Australia. When they get anywhere near, they're going to give it air. They're going to risk it. They're going to test their arm, and it nearly came off.
Might have been a big moment of this match. Gaznia, you would not expect him to lose the ball in a position like that. It's Cunningham. He also had the man on the overlap. Here is Fielden, still going strong, nearly an hour without a break. Stuart Fielden at the coal face for Great Britain. It's Harris. It's wide to Deacon, and Deacon slides the kick down. It bounces and finds its way into touch. And that will just let Britain get second win.
Well, in these conditions, it is a good option, kicking on the fourth tackle. No one at home. He realises that you keep the pressure on. The Australians still cock a hoop, the fans that is. Only 2 points between the side, but it's like a bit of a chess game here. Who is going to find the lady? Who's going to get the checkmate? But play the percentages, and that's what Great Britain have done. It was a good kick from Deacon.
It's a good test match, isn't it, gentlemen?
Outstanding test match, Eddie, and I disagree with Steve-O there. I think Deacon would have been better served keeping the ball in play, because one or two of these big Australian forwards, they were walking back, and you know, let's keep the pressure on, let's turn the screw while we can.
Steve-O, I'm going to take you to task too. I reckon down the back end there, they weren't throwing the ball, they were reacting what was in front of them in that space. Remember the old theory, Steve-O, run where they ain't? And that's what they've done. And their reaction when they have numbers, Australia, has been better than Great Britain. And that's when they got down there, they look a threat, because they run where they ain't.
That's the last tackle on Badiris, this set of 6. And it's Craig Fitzgibbon at dummy half, and he gives it to Prince. And here they go, they're running it again with Lockyer. And here is Minicello. Oh, great ball back on the inside to Gaznia. Another knock forward by O'Donnell. Well, there is danger every time Australia flood down that right-hand channel.
He fell over.
It certainly is, but was he taken out there?
Well, Lockyer's saying that he was taken out, O'Donnell, but the referee says he fell over Kieran Cunningham.
Well, I think Kieran just launched himself, and he tried to, you know, he tried to pull him back, did Kieran Cunningham. Lockyer, that is, and then as he's falling, he actually stopped the man from getting the football.
Another
chance gone begging. And again, it shows you that the green and golds, they're not frightened of giving it air.
Well, Steve-O, you spoke about the three-quarters. I think the bridge three-quarters this second half have been sensational. I think Leon Price and Brian Carney both got into dummy half, and they've got great yards every time they've got there.
Anxious moments and anxious looks towards the bench, and there we see Adrian Morley. Bill, some news.
Adrian Morley got a bang on the shoulder, really bad bang on the shoulder. There was concern about him, but it seems to have eased. And in fact, there's the word that Adrian Morley will be back in the fray very soon.
That's good news. Good news for Great Britain as Badiris scoots into dummy half and gets the ball infield. This is Matt King again.
It's important that Brian Noble has 4 fit players on that bench. He's going to need them. The interchange is going to be important.
This is O'Donnell. Grinding their way upfield, the Australians. That's 3 tackles gone. And Badiris makes a couple more meters forward.
There's little doubt when it started raining about 2 hours before the kickoff that this would certainly suit Great Britain. But I must say, I've admired the way that the Australians, who have adapted to the conditions very well indeed.
It's with Lockyer. He's shaped to kick. He's running it. Ball back on the inside. There's the kick from Minicello. Harris covers up. And the tackle is completed by Matt Cooper. Carney waits. Carney goes down the short side. He's away from King, but can't get away from Cooper. Plays the ball to Gleeson. Gleeson to Wellens.
We're into the final quarter, and you can see that there is quite a lot of these players out there. They are just walking around. It has really started to take effect.
Thackeray isn't walking.
That's good effort. Just show that enthusiasm. That's all it takes. Just one play. Oh, that was a mile forward.
Here is Leon Price. That's the last one for Great Britain. Cunningham eyeing the options left and right. Goes down the left. Deacon. I must say, Steve-O, after we were very critical 12 months ago of the kicking game for Great Britain,
it's been good.
Much better tonight.
Certainly has. And
great chase.
The chase has been up to it. The kick is only as good as the chase, as we know. Now then, we've got to keep them down here. You can see that very slow to reorganize themselves at the green and golds. And this relentless defense, it has been superb, to be fair, on both sides. Very few opportunities, We've seen those two occasions where Ghazni had dropped the ball and then Ghazi's pass was dropped down.
Vast improvement from Great Britain on last week.
Oh, without a doubt.
Huge improvement.
They've
lost the ball. Fitzgibbon has lost the ball. Now then. What can Great Britain produce from this scrum feed?
Good hit over the top. Second man going into the ball carrying arm. That was Martin Gleeson. Fitzgibbon, an experienced campaigner. Composure. Do not panic. Just drive away. Chinese torture. Drip, drip, drip.
Harris to Wellens. Wellens away from one, but O'Donnell was there for his country. And Paul Johnson at dummy half, and he'll have a little run. And takes the tackle from Badiris and Stephen Price.
Cunningham's the key.
He waits at dummy half. The St Helens hooker. And he gets it infield to Fielden. And Fielden finds Deacon. And Deacon can't get away from his opposite number, Scott Prince. Kevin Sinfield. Sinfield to the captain. Jamie Peacock, an offload to Cunningham, a dump ball back to Easton Harris. Wide it goes. Wellens. There's a man on the overlap, and Wellens elected to go for glory himself. And Leon Price waits. Back it comes to Easton Harris. And Harris looks and finds Gleeson. Oh, and Gleeson loses it. Knock
on. Well, you have to take the chances. And he knows it. The centre spitting chips over this. If you're going to make contact, try not to do it with a ball carrying arm, especially when the conditions are very slippy. You've got to fend with the non-ball carrying arm.
I'll tell you what, Steve, these Aussies are they're on the ropes, because you could tell with Scott Prince's reaction there. He didn't go to pick the ball up, he left the ball and took the scrum, because they need all the oxygen that they can get.
It's a rugged match, there's no doubt about that. And there is Prince.
Did the right thing as well. Maybe inexperienced at this level, but he knew he had to keep hold of that football.
Stephen Price.
Not make the risk of trying to offer an intercept, as we saw in the first half when Cunningham gave a sitter to Cooper. Outpaced everybody.
Badiris. They're making good yards though. Ball tackles, 34 metres. And Lockyer.
That's a good kick. Very, very well weighted.
It is, because Carney is going to have to run this ball back. And the green and gold wall has arrived. And he got as far as Fitzgibbon and Cooper, but he still managed to make about 4 or 5 metres further forward. And it's a good scampering run.
He's had a big game as Deacon. He's worked hard. Kicking game has been solid, but the defence from both sides.
Big hit there by Willie Mason.
It's been a pleasure to watch.
This is Gleeson.
Maybe getting to that point in the game where you need something individual, something spectacular, maybe the little chip over the top, something that the defence perhaps wouldn't be expecting in these conditions.
He's looking for a penalty then, Martin Gleeson. It wasn't coming. Oh dear, that's out on the floor.
Well, why on earth is a prop forward putting himself in a position to take the kicking responsibilities? Dearie me. Brian Noble must have headbutted the concrete.
I think you call it, Steve-O, a trombone in the wind section.
Trombones
in the wind section.
In the wind section, anyway.
Yeah.
Good ball. Mason to Lockyer. Barrett cut down. Maybe the trombones are in the brass section. You better know all about that, Ian. You're coming to Wigan.
Yep, they've got a lovely brass band here, and I'll tell you what, Australia just brought Barrett on for Prince, and that'll create some real doubt for Great Britain.
Here's Minicello. They have the men on the overlap again, and that is Ghazni.
Good defence by Senior. Again, the sliding defence in the second half, a lot more efficient than we saw in the first 40.
Last tackle.
Good pressure from Price. It could work out well.
It could. It's picked up by Gleeson. Just lost his footing. He slid along the deck.
Great work there from Leon Price. Applied the pressure onto the kick, and that's why it was a bad one. Gleeson gleefully picks it up. Now then.
Morley's return, you might have noticed.
Roll the sleeves up.
But on the minus side, it's Kieran Cunningham who's gone off. Mickey Hyam was the dummy half. Here is Fielden again.
I think what Brian Noble's trying to do there, Eddie, he's trying to keep the intensity around the ruck area and blow out people like Mason and that who haven't had a lot of rugby league. Cunningham's done a fantastic job. He's asking the Wigan hooker now to really up the tempo and speed around the rucks.
Harris with the kick. It hits the deck and it forces Brent Tate to just trap it with the foot. Just a second or two, and it allows Britain to come forward, and Senior gets the tackle in. Here is Gasnier. Great tackle, Leon Price.
It's been a great effort, you know, from both sides. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Okay, we haven't seen the silty skills. The conditions certainly have put paid to that.
I'm going to say it's not the night for those.
No, but the way that these two sides have gone into each other, absolute credit.
It's Australia in possession, still inside their own half though, 10 metres inside. Fielden's been immense.
Yeah.
Lockyer. Oh, Lockyer behind Matt Cooper. And is that a turning point?
It certainly is, because that is a tired mind. Not just the physical sense. What's going through the brain box now?
Here's Morley. 10 minutes to go. Britain 2 points behind, and Hyam with the run. Couldn't get the pass away. Gleeson was looking for it. Might have been a penalty there. Referee says play on, and it's with Peacock. And Peacock out the back door. Harris, it was risky. Wide on the bounce to keep Senior. Well, I suppose they're trailing on the scoreboard. The time is running out. They've got to start to chance their arm. And that's what they're doing. They're testing this Australian defence. That's tackle number 4. Here is Leon Price waiting.
They've got
both ways.
They've got the second phase. Look, they're hanging back for the second phase. Is it going to come, though? No.
Harris.
There's nobody there.
Last tackle. Can they get a second set of 6 out of this? Great Britain. Deacon, the kick has to be good. Oh, it's awful. It's a shocker. Willie Mason picks up. And Willie Mason is halted by Leon Price. And it's a penalty.
Well, Eddie, you speak about was Lockyer's a turning point. That might be the turning point of the game, where Mason picked that ball up, and then we foolishly have given a soft penalty away, which will just give field position to the Australians.
But it was the kick, John. You know, we talk about consistency, and Deacon's been fantastic with his kick tonight, and that's the difference at this level, being consistent, set after set, minute after minute, and that's relieved the pressure.
He has written a book, Wayne Bennett, and the title of it is Don't Die with the Music in You, and Great Britain cannot die with any music in them tonight. This is Fitzgibbon. It's a thoroughly good read, by the way. And this is Barrett, and now it's Lockyer. Oh, and a short ball finds O'Donnell, and Great Britain come back, and the ball comes free again. Is that another penalty?
That'll be a knock-on.
Referee takes a word. It is a penalty.
Oh, dearie me. He's
took advice from the top
judge there.
Big call coming here, boys. Do you take the 2, or you put the knife and the sword to him and go for the 6?
I think in these conditions, I think they might push it into the corner.
No,
they're going to go for it.
They've said. Was it a penalty? Well, the touch judge gave it on that far side.
It's hard to see from this angle.
The referee looked directly at the linesman and said, listen, I can't see, give me some information.
Well, it looks as though Johnson had the arm involved there. I don't think that it was Stuart Fielden. And Brian Noble perhaps knows that 2 passages of play. First, the poor kick, which allowed Willie Mason to race. Okay, only 20 metres forward. But you could see the Australians, they just lifted. They were under pressure. Now they've got time to get themselves set again, take their time. It won't bother this guy.
Craig Fitzgibbon, and this would be a personal milestone for him. A 100-point mark for his country, but more importantly tonight, a 4-point ball game. Fitzgibbon for Australia. And he's missed it.
What a let-off, but they will get the football back. He had the power to make sure that it went dead in goal. This will be the dropout. It has to be a good one. It's not bad either. Will they drop it? No, they don't.
O'Meally will run it back for Australia. Gets to halfway before the tackle comes in from Mickey Hyatt. And here is Stephen Price. Well, Paul Johnson will say that justice has just seen to be done. Barrett. Back it comes to Fitzgibbon. Here is Matt Cooper. And Cooper trying to dance his way through. And Badiris gets the ball away. Willie Mason.
Surely the Australians won't be looking at a one-pointer. They'll want to keep the clock ticking away.
Here is Lockyer. And back it comes to Minicello. And the ball is flicked back. And there's a chance here for Gasnier. And Gasnier spins away from the would-be tackle, but they come back in numbers, Great Britain. That's the last one. They're lined up down this left-hand channel. It's Lockyer. Lockyer turns it back on the inside. Minicello! It's over. Minicello with a try for Australia. Minicello perhaps has just punctured Great Britain's Tri-Nations hopes. Anthony Minicello. They always seem to have something in reserve, Australia. And Anthony Minicello, 2 tries in the final last year, and suddenly Britain, the heads go down and the crowd goes ever so quiet.
You have to pay credit to this green and gold outfit. They wanted instead just to drive it. Lockyer back on the inside. They tried everything. Sinfield went low, so did Wellens, but this was a beautiful set move. That is a wonderful effort. Full credit to the Australians, as I say. On every occasion that they've drifted into the British half, they have wanted to keep the ball alive, and it has paid off. Sometimes you force luck. The harder you work, sometimes the luckier you become, but there was nothing lucky really about that. It was a good move by this fella, but Lockyer yet again has become the man that has broken the British hearts.
Fitzgibbon to make it an 8-point advantage to Australia and perhaps win this match for his country. He's just missed with a penalty. He very rarely misses 2 in a row. It's 14 points to 6. And Australia are on their way to 4 points in the group alongside New Zealand, and Great Britain will have 0 alongside their name. And the mountain that they had to climb before the match has suddenly become looking more like Everest.
It certainly will, and we will look back and we will see that action when the big fella Willie Mason, from right underneath his own sticks, went just 20 metres, would you believe?
Oh, now there's a penalty.
That'll be a penalty.
Because the ball has not gone 10 metres forward.
Well, they had to take the gamble, but it didn't come off. But it's amazing how things can just turn around. Just 20-metre run by one of the big guys, and it just broke the heart. It just lifted the Australians, got them in a good position. Once we got the penalty.
I know you're talking about, Steve-O, about, you know, the loss, and I know everyone in here is to be heartbreak about it. They've conceded two tries, Great Britain, one from an intercept and one when they had to repeat double sets, and they're under pump, and it come from an inside ball, and that's usually where you're vulnerable when you're under the pump from double sets, is your inside defence. They've got caught out. There's a lot of positives that come out of the game. There's 2 games to go in the series. This series is alive because Great Britain's aimed up defensively today, and at last, out of the 4th game of the series, we've had a low-scoring game. There's been a high-scoring games.
Oh, what a ball. This is Gasnier. Here is Cooper. And that's the 2nd try for Cooper. And Australia will win the ball game now. There is no doubt about that. And the big thing about this from Great Britain's point of view is that the points difference against them is starting just to mount.
Well, I think it's 40 points already behind the difference between themselves before this game and the Kiwis. And you add this on top, and it's looking a very big ask, but it's still not beyond the realms of possibility.
No, mathematically, it's still a possibility.
Yep, they've got to be there. But full credit yet again the way that these Australians, they got that try, they could have just said, we'll wrap it up, boys. We'll stick it in the forwards. We're quite happy with this. No, they caught them trapping with some of the most beautiful rugby league football you'll ever see in bad weather. Back on the inside, the offload. Once again, Gasnier inside to Cooper. That is outstanding.
When was the last time you've seen two centres on the same side working together? And this is the big key here. The bloke pushing in the hole. There he goes, Gasnier. And there's his mate Cooper. Gee, that's a good try in these conditions, and great support.
And what a pass it was from Ben Kennedy.
Unbelievable.
Craig Fitzgibbon, from exactly the same spot that he kicked the goal a second or two ago, and he's kicked another, and it's now 20 points to 6.
Well, the scoreline,
and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it certainly does. It doesn't reflect the effort that Great Britain have done, but you have to pinpoint the way that this Australian side, for some unknown reason, come up with dry weather football late in the game when I'd say 99% of the time, John Keir, as a coach, you'd say, we've got this, let's just tie it up.
Well, I thought that last try, Steve, was absolutely phenomenal skill. It really was, and you've got to take hats off them. The range teamed down 2 hours before the start of the game, and they finished with a try like that. That's why they're the world champions.
Australia have won by 20 points to 6. The Tri-Nation Series moves on to Huddersfield next week, and the match between Great Britain and New Zealand. And it's Great Britain bottom of the pile with 0 points and a big points difference running against them. The Australians have joined the New Zealanders on 4 points. And despite all the effort, despite all the terrific defence that we've seen from Great Britain, they have come up blank here at the JJB Stadium. But there are things that they can take into the latter stages of this series.
Certainly, Eddie, there's no doubt about it. And I'm sure that they're a little bit exhausted. It was terrible conditions. But you have to, once again, look at the skill factor. We saw that from the Kiwis last week. Their skill factor was far more better than the British boys. And it has shown yet again.
They're delighted, the Australians.
Well, they are, because of the confidence, and the way that they scored those last 2 tries was phenomenal.
Well, I'll tell you something, it is not a warm night in Wigan, but the Australians, they are stripped to the waist, their supporters, and the players appreciate the backing they got from that little knot of fans that have travelled halfway around the world to see this in a 25,000 crowd. Great Britain are heartbroken, but they're not out of this yet. Australia have won, though, by 20 points to 6.